your way to the world of ICT. Get ready to dive deep into knowledge that
Wednesday night, 6 p.m. How do I clear that screen? Uh-oh. Chuck's in trouble already. Just started the live stream, and I am already in trouble. Why is that screen not clearing? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Gotta love technology. It makes your job easier. Yes. Give me a second where I can figure out how to clear this stupid screen. No, it's not the escape button. Layout, maybe? There we go. There we go. There we go. I figured it out. Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live after hours with your favorite, right, Kevin? Your favorite RCDD. Kenny Fox is in the house. Ed, the old tech guy's in the house. Yes, yes. Live the topic for tonight's episode are certifications that actually move the needle. Certifications that's actually moving the needle. Okay, how you doing, Mr. Ed? Did you get my message about that thing in Chicago? So I got lots of stuff to go through tonight. I got 10 or 15 questions. Hold on, why did it do that? Oh, perfect. I appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. So, anyways, next week is the BICSI Winter Conference. The BICSI Winter Conference. I will be there. I'm arriving on Sunday morning. I got a company thing in the morning, and but then I'm gonna be there for the rest of the week, hanging out, doing stuff. I'm gonna have with me stickers for your badges to commemorate Phil Klingsmith. I only have 100 of them. So if you're there and you knew Phil, he mentored you, make sure that you meet up with me, because once they're gone, they are gone. I only made 100 of them. And don't forget, we're doing that meetup for Phil as well. I'll do more about that when we look closer. Lots and lots of stuff going on. Looking really, really forward to it. What are you drinking? What are you drinking? Tonight I am drinking ginger Zevia. Ginger Zevia. I love ginger Zevia. It is good stuff. So lots of questions for tonight. Make sure that if you have any questions as we go along, that you put them in the comments, and I will try to follow along as we go through them. So let me see, public chat. There we go. Alrighty. So I forgot to do the acronym challenge. The acronym challenge. Tonight's acronym challenge is PBB. PBB. What does that acronym mean? That's what tonight's acronym is for. PBB. I'll give you a few seconds to figure that out. While you're trying to figure it out, it has something to do with bonding and growling. Traveling Guru's in the house. Traveling Guru, are you coming to the Tampa RV show? The Tampa RV show. That's a big thing every year, especially in this neck of the woods, right? No clue. Production back to bone. Oh, primary bonding bus bar. Primary bonding bus bar. Somebody's drinking some plain old water, and somebody says, I'm going to miss this year. That's a shame. They'll probably do the conference in Vegas, and they'll do another winter conference next year. Can't go to all of them. Can't go to all of them. Primary bonding bus bar. Yes, that is the correct. Tyler Johnson. Yes, I knew you would get it. I knew you would get it. So let's go into the questions. The questions, like I said, again, the topic for tonight's show is certifications that actually move the needle. See, our industry loves credentials. It loves certifications. People like putting extra letters after the end of their names. I don't know why. It used to be the only ones who ever had letters after the names were doctors or lawyers. Lawyers just put ESQ. But now it seems like everybody's got letters to put after their names, and not just one. They've got lots of them, and I get it why some people are doing it because you know, credentialing and certification will certainly help you make more money. There we go. Tell me if you can hear me now. I don't know how that happened. How did it get on mute? Let me know in the chat box if you can hear it now. Man, I just wasted a whole bunch of time of y'all's time. Yeah. So it looks like it's working now. Let me double check. See what setting it's on. I have no idea why it turned off. That's weird because I didn't touch that button. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. The next question comes from Sarah on Facebook. Is the RCD worth it if I'm not a designer yet? Okay. Yeah, the people on TikTok, you didn't lose your sound, but the people going through Riverside, you did lose your sound. So, um, yay, sound now. There we go. Thank you for pointing that out, guys. Next time, don't wait so long. Don't wait so long. So the next question was from, oops, hold on. Let me flip back over to it again. The next question is from, I lost track of it. There we go. Sarah. She sent this to me from Facebook. Is an RCDD worth it if I'm not a designer yet? It's funny because I just had this conversation today. I had this conversation with one of my students in my RCD study group coming up in a couple weeks. And I did a show last week, and one of the things I talked about in that show was the qualifications, the prerequisites that you need in order to even sit for that exam. They're pretty wide open. They truly are. But he heard me talk about them, and he was like, "Chuck, I don't qualify for that." Let me tell you this: even if you don't plan on taking the test, buy a copy of the TDMM, the Telecommunications Distribution Methods Manual. buy a copy of it, and read it. It will make you a better technician. It will make you a better installer. It will make you eventually want to get that RCDD. It truly will. It truly, truly will. And so you don't have to be an estimator to be able to apply for that exam. All you got to do. So the three prerequisites are option one, 2 years of design experience and holding another BICSI credential like a tech or RTPM or something like that. The second one is 2 years of design experience and 2 years of community college or STEM school or something like that. And then the third option is 5 years of design experience. So let's talk about this. Now, BICSI is the only one who can arbitrarily say what they will consider yes or no for design experience, but you don't have to be an estimator to be able to do design. You can be a lead technician doing design work. How does that work, Chuck? If you have to deal with a change on a job site and you have to come up with a new way to support cable, a different way to route cables, and you have to research and find the support systems for that, that's design work. You don't have to have the title of estimator to be doing design work. So if you apply for the RCD and you don't think you have that design experience, go look up the RCD study handbook V.15. It's on the internet, and look for the qualifications. And I guarantee you probably fit in probably most of those categories, right? Right. So there you go. So yeah, it is worth it. I have had people sit in my study groups in the past who had no, they weren't going to take the test. They just wanted to learn. They just want to learn how to do it right. It's a great, the RCD is a great credential if you're trying to get out of the field to get into the office. You want to become a project manager. Absolutely great certification for that. Project managers design too. They got to design change orders. Some jobs, the project manager estimates the job, and then when they win the job, they got to manage the job. So some project managers do. I said do. Project managers do design work. I'm sorry, my wife she laughs at me when I do that because you're just a kid. Yeah, I am. I'm just a child. I'm a grown man child is what I am. Yeah, that's me. So yeah, there you go. So it is. You can absolutely use it to get out of the field. And when you get your RCDD, you're going to find that you're going to gain credibility. People, when you know that you got that certification, they look at you differently. They actually look at you like what you're doing. That may or may not be the case because there's 2,000 pages in the TDMM. You're not going to remember everything, and it always cracks me because somebody always asks me something that I don't remember out of the TDMM. I got to go look it up. I don't have 2,000 pages stuck in my head. Sure, I got the most common questions people ask, like fill ratios and fire stopping and the length for a permanent link and length for a channel. Yeah, I got that stuff, but I deal with that stuff day in and day out. But don't start talking to me about building automation or nurse call cabling. I haven't done that stuff in a long time. I'm not going to know that. So my advice to you is to start the process when it makes sense. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate like Chuck did. Just start the process. Go ahead and fill out the application, submit it, get approved for it. Once you get approved for it, you actually have a year to take the test. So there you go. Next question, number 3. This comes from Jason, and him and I were having a YouTube live chat, and he says, "Why do some certifications never seem to matter in the field?" So there are some certifications. Let's be honest. There are some certifications that are just really good for resume padding, right? Versus, a role alignment, something you're trying to actually get. So if you took a class on on spreadsheets, or you took a class on Word, Microsoft Word, yeah, okay, that's not going to have the same impact as some other certifications. You really want a certification where there's going to be some type of enforcement from some type of standards behind it. That's the ones that really matter. And vendor certifications, I'll wait to answer that because the next question asks about vendor certifications. So when it comes to the field, They respect competence over certifications. You see this all the time on social medias. I know lots of RCDDs who can't do anything. I do too. But I know more people who don't have their RCDDs who can't do things. You know, there are some credentials that when I look at them, I'm like, yeah, good for you that you got that, and I respect that you came up with the goal, you pursued that goal, and you got that goal. There's a lot to be said for that. But there are other certifications that really they don't just hand them out. They don't just hand them out. Question number 4. This comes from Linda. Are vendors certifications a waste of time? I gotta be careful with this one. And those who know me know why I gotta be careful with this one. So vendor certifications. Vendor certifications are really good if your company's locked in with that manufacturer. When I say vendor certifications, it doesn't have to be a cable manufacturer. It could be a vendor certification for Wi-Fi. It could be a vendor certification for security systems, right? So that vendor certification is going to be good for their systems. And there will be some things that you will find with vendor certifications that do cross platforms. They do, if you get a certification from, my day job, a lot of the stuff that we teach is the same stuff that you can use to install somebody else's cabling. So there's a lot of stuff that does cross, but there's also some stuff that sticks specifically with that manufacturer. They may have a proprietary type of connector, proprietary type of Wi-Fi antenna, something like that only applies to them. When you look at a resume, I got a show coming up on resumes. The person just text messaged me on LinkedIn. She's a recruiter for TCOM, and we're gonna meet up at BICSI and talk about potential topics to talk about for resumes. So vendor ones, the cable guys in the house. Um, the vendor applications help if you're going to another company that's already certified in that product. Okay, they really are, because again, some of that knowledge is going to be specific to that manufacturer, and they are stackable. So if I have a resume and somebody's just got, I got a ICC certification, that's all they got. That doesn't resonate with me as a hiring manager, as somebody who's got their ICC certification, their Belden certification, their Panduit certification, their Leviton certification, and all those others. So when you got more of them, then it actually kind of does stack up and actually mean something. Because let's be honest here, there's a lot of industry certification training programs out there, not mine, not the one I work for, but a lot of them out there. They're glorified pizza diploma programs. You come in, they give you a pizza, they show you the newest, latest, greatest jack, and then they give you a certificate. Okay. Okay. The problem with vendor certifications is you might become brand locked. You might only now be able to do those certifications for that one, right? For NICET, they don't really test your knowledge, but your ability to find the information in a timely manner. I got a show coming up about NICET, as a matter of fact. Um, so I got a new subject matter expert joining my team, the expert council. We're going to talk about that. Some certifications aren't worth much, but never turn anything down that's offered you. That's true. That's good, Daryl. Great point, Daryl. Some certifications are better than no certifications. Knowledge is always a good thing, always a good thing. And you really got to really think about, again, talking about vendor certifications. How is the hiring manager going to look at them? Okay, because some of them will put more value into them than others. This is where you do your research into the company. If you got a Belden certification and you're applying to a company that they only sell and install CommScope, your Belden certification isn't going to mean jack diddly squat, because it doesn't help them. It does tell them that you took a class and you passed the class. That's a good thing. So be careful that with vendor certifications. Carlos on Instagram. Hey Chuck, first BICSI conference this week in Orlando for me recently. Yes, make sure that we meet up. Make sure that we meet up. I will be floating around. You'll see me. I typically wear high vis shirts so people can pick me out. And make sure we meet up. Carlos wants to know, what certifications matter the most for installers who want to move up. So installers are kind of a vague term, right? Is it an installer with 1 year experience, installer with 5 years experience? Okay. Um, for copper certifications, the best ones to go for are the BICSI installer certifications, the installer copper, installer fiber. Like I mentioned, the FOA does do the copper certifications, but they're not as involved as the BICSI ones, I don't think. I'm currently working through mine, so I'll tell you that. I'll give you a report on that. I'll do an episode on that one on a little bit later. But the technician level, this one I like. The technician level, the BICSI technician level, it's got teeth. It's got teeth. There's a lot of stuff in the BICSI level class that you got to learn that shows up again in the RCDD, right? Make sure, and that's why I like the BICSI technician, because the BICSI technician is more than just terminating copper and fiber and testing. It's also one that tests you on leadership, right? So that's why I like that one. And any certification that you look at before you decide to move down any path of a certification, how does it approach safety? How does it approach testing? And does it really comply with the standards? I was talking to somebody yesterday. No, it was on Facebook last night. And they complained about something or another, about how people don't like this, that, and the other. And I said, well, there's a difference between codes, standards, and best practices. Big difference between all three of those, right? So that's what I like. Also, make sure that whatever certification that you go for, it helps you build a ladder to the position that you want. That's the key there. That's the key there. The cable guy, BICSI carries more weight in the industry than most. At least that's my opinion. I agree with you there, the cable guy. When are you going to come to a BICSI conference? Um, the next biggest one would be the FOA, the Fiber Optic Association. They've got some certifications, and they're well known outside of the enterprise environment. And they're really good outside the enterprise environment. They're great certification to have. I will never talk bad about anybody who has a CFOT, because you're probably better at fiber than I am if you got your CFOT. Brian from LinkedIn, if you had to pick one certification to start with, what would it be and why? So what I would pick might be different than something you might pick, right? So what you really got to do is you got to think about your career. Most people in the field, I don't want to say all people, but most people in the field, they're going to be thinking, okay, I want to get out of the field. And there's several avenues for getting out of the field. There's training, there's quality, there's sales, there's project management. So think about what role you want. And before you still decide that, make sure you talk to people who have those roles. Since you came to me at Brian on LinkedIn, let's say, using an example, let's say you become a project manager for low voltage. Find up other project managers on LinkedIn and say, hey, look, I'm trying to decide which way to go with my career. Can I ask you some questions about project management in low voltage? The vast majority of people will answer those questions for you, right? They'll absolutely answer them for you. So, and don't don't get hung up in short-term goals. This is where we get left behind. When you look at the Japanese and compare the Japanese businesses to American businesses, they're typically planning out a quarter, maybe 6 months, maybe a year. Japanese companies, they plan out 5 years, 10 years, because why not build up your career path with the end goal in mind, instead of just putting bricks together and hope at the end of the day you build something. That's what I'm just saying, right? And also make sure that you look at certifications that really make you think, not just memorization. That's why, again, I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm plugging my study group, but I'm not. My study group is not about memorization. My study group is about walking people through the content that's in there, because I want you to be a good RCDD, not just someone who passed the test, right? The cable guy says, but I would love to help to be able to start talking some things. Time to go. Honestly, my region and the jobs I do, they don't require certifications, especially when they see my work. There's a lot of truth in that one. If you have great quality work, a lot of times a lot of people will subside and not worry about the certifications. And certifications really, they really come into their own when you start doing medium-sized projects, large-sized projects, when if you just do a 10 cable job for your local vet office, they're probably not going to care that you're a BICSI technician because they don't know what BICSI is. But your large jobs, your government jobs, some of your medium-sized jobs, they will know. If it's somebody who does cabling in all the facilities across, yeah, they're going to know. They truly are. Amanda, how do I avoid chasing certifications that don't move the needle? Okay, so there are some red flags that you will find in certification marketing. So always when you read the marketing literature, always read it with an eye of it's being written by somebody in marketing trying to make it sound really good, so you do it. So think about that. Don't fall for some of the traps that they go. If they say guaranteed success, that's nonsense. There's no certification that guarantees that you will land that job, that you will get more money. Find one that's recognized by industries, not just regionally, not just by one company, recognized by the industry, because if it's recognized by the industry, then you've got clout. Then you got clout. And then whatever certification you decide you want to pursue, make sure that you come up with a list of questions and call up the company and ask them questions. There's no harm, no foul um, in asking questions. Question number 8, this comes from Tom. Do certifications really matter more than experience? Tell me what you think in the chat box. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Do you think certifications matter more than experience? Okay, that really depends on the experience, doesn't it? If does a certification replace 10 years of bad experience? Absolutely. Absolutely. Does a certification replace 10 years of being trained correctly? I don't know the answer to that one. I really don't know the answer to that one. Again, as a hiring manager, because I hired technicians for a long time, again, if you have certifications, except for some very few specific ones, again, that told me you have the ability to make a goal, achieve that goal, and move on. Right. So, but I know some people who have credentials who can't do anything right. I know some people who have tons and tons of experience, but they were trained wrong. It's done horribly. So it's not a right versus wrong answer. It truly isn't. Right. In real life, take pride in your work, and you'll definitely outweigh certification. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So make sure that whatever certification that you're chasing after, that when your experience stalls, it doesn't stall without credentials. Okay. Question number 9. This comes from Kevin, not the Kevin in here tonight, but which certifications help me move from the field to the office? Project management certifications, design certifications, those kind of certifications will get you out of the office, out of the field. And let's be honest here, some people don't want to go into the office. They want to stay in the field, and I understand that. I understand, because when you're in the field, you're pulling it. Sometimes it's going to be hot. Sometimes you're going to be working in some uncomfortable places. But some people like working with their hands. They like building things. Going to the office isn't all that it's hacked up to be. You got office politics and then all kinds of other stuff that goes on. Just being in the office ain't what I know way more people who made it into the office who want to go back to the field because they thought, I don't like working in the office, than I know people who want to get into the office. Right. So again, so project management, design, and anything like that. A lot of times too, sometimes some of your safety ones will get you that as well. You get some of the right safety certifications that might bring you into the office as a safety person. And I know a lot of people hate safety officers because they think, oh, you're only out here to tell me I'm doing it wrong. No, they're out there to make sure you go home safely at the end of the day. Again, I told this many times on this show. I've had an uncle who died in a workplace accident. Okay. It's not a fun thing to go through as a family. Truly, it's not. Daryl, the RCD, says, I would love to go back into the field. Absolutely. Garcia says, I think it's the best balance is to be some type of foreman, field supervisor. You're an office personnel, but there you go, still on the site. Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of stuff that does that. Exactly, because it was your dad, your granddad. Absolutely. It's kind of funny. I met you. I didn't even think about you being in this live stream. So my cousin's in the live stream. It was her grandfather, my uncle, who died from that workplace accident. Again, safety related. It probably could have been avoided. So I take safety a little more serious than most people. Rachel wants to know, how should certifications align where the industry is going, not where it has been? Okay, so if I'm looking at certifications now in the low voltage industry, I'm going to be looking for certifications in data center design, power over Ethernet, fault managed power systems, right? Because that's where this industry is going. And why not get a certification that's going to help you get where this industry is going? The industry has a lot of BICSI technicians, a lot of CFOTs. Why not think about where it's going? Wireless, building automation, right? Think about that design and lifestyle and life cycle thinking. Those are the ones you want, because that's where, because right now there's a shortage of those kinds of people. Last question. This comes from Steve on YouTube. Why do some people collect certifications but never advance? Because some people just collect certifications. I get asked all the time, because I only have two of them, the BICSI Tech and the RCDD. And I get asked all the time, well, Chuck, how come you don't get more? Well, there's several reasons for that. One, I'm getting old. I see the light at the end of the tunnel of my career, but I don't I don't pursue certifications just to tack more letters on the end of my name. I look at a certification and I look, okay, how does this certification impact me over the next 3 years, next 5 years? Does it make me more efficient at my job? Does it make my job easier? Does it help me make more money? Those are the filters that I put through any certification before that I pick them. Right. So there are some people that just want to collect those certifications. Everybody needs a hobby. Yeah. Yeah. Collecting certifications is not a good hobby for though, right? And some people are just addicted to learning. Now I am one of those people. I am always my wife and I, when we're sitting down, our living room is just actually on the other side of this wall. And when we sit down and watch TV at night, she watches TV. I'm usually online trying to learn something. And it's just because I'm a constant learner. My brain is restless sometimes. It is restless. But certifications without responsibility, I don't know if I would waste the time on that. I just truly, truly don't. How hard is the RCDD test? That is a great question. Chicago FLG. It is hard, very hard. It is 150 questions, 2.5 hours, and you got to study a 2,000-page book and know that information inside out, forwards and backwards. The vast majority of people who apply for that test fail that test the first time around. It's a very hard test, but it's very rewarding when you get that. Very rewarding for that, right? Those certifications do look nice at the convention when you get your lanyard. Yeah, it's funny you say that, because my lanyard's actually from last year sitting right there, and I've got, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 banners on it. Nine of them on there. Yeah, I get that. Some people get into that whole, how many lanyards do you have? Yeah, whatever. I don't do that. Anyways, so I am at 6:34, 4 minutes past showtime. I've got a recording to do for an episode coming up on the podcast. Huge announcement, by the way. Oh, I missed some questions here. What certification should I pursue after my RCDD? I'm considering the DC-DC or OSP, since I have experience with Cisco and outside plant technology. Okay, so do you want hard first or do you want easy first, right? If you want easy first, go for the OSP. Now, I'm not saying the OSP is an easy certification to get, but what I will say, though, is it's a lot easier than the DC-DC certification. So get the OSP first, then go for your DC-DC. That's my recommendation. Do you know platforms to find low voltage work and bidding? Okay, that's a great question, Mr. Jackson. My problem with using those platforms, and there was every region of the country had these construction books that come out like once a month, talk about upcoming projects, stuff like that. My problem with those kinds of books is everybody and their brother in the area are bidding on it. I would much rather be in a bid environment where I'm only competing against 3 people instead of 30 people. Because when you're bidding against 30 people, the person who won the job missed something. So yeah, there you go. All right, that is it for tonight. So let's go ahead and shut this down. Until next time, everybody, remember, knowledge is power.